We're on? Alright, cool. So, we're back, guys. I'll give you the introduction about different styles of frames, whatnot. But, so now, what I want you guys to know, though, is first of all, what do you guys need to build a custom beach cruiser or a lowrider bike? First of all, I'm doing this in my garage. So, I don't have a 220 amp outlet for my welder, but I got a 110 outlet. So I got my welder, I got my Lincoln 110 welder, wire fed. If you never welded before, I would recommend you guys get a arc welder. It's a stick welder. You can find one on Craigslist for really cheap. That's what I started on when I first learned how to weld. And then, but before that, you gotta make sure that you gotta have well ventilated areas, because if you're welding, then I recommend you use you gotta use a helmet. Okay, you gotta use a helmet, and they do make respirators that are half face, so you can wear actually underneath the helmet. I happen to not have one right now. And of course, you need your welding gloves and your wire brush. And always make sure you got access to water when you're welding. I would recommend it welding outdoors, please. So, other tool that you guys will need is a grinder. I use a 4.5 inch angle grinder. When you're using these grinders, you need to make sure you guys got eye protection. I use also dust masks, so you don't get all those pieces of metal inside your lungs, man. So I use a dust mask. I use fog off spray to put inside my lens so they don't fog up. And always make sure you got a blade guard on, and always keep your distance about 5 feet radius around you. Make sure there's nothing flammable. And I suggest using a ventilated area when you're welding and cutting metal. I would use long sleeve shirts so you don't burn yourself, and some jean pants for sure. And the more clothing you got on, the better. So, with that said, that's basically for metal designs. So what comes after the metal is the Bondo. So I'm gonna shoot over this bike. I'll show you. The body work on this guy right here, the bike that we're working on. See, this is all bondoed up, bondoed and sanded. Leave it there. Now what I use is, I got Bondo, I got my scrapers, I got my putty knives, I got my cheese grater, and I use a respirator when I'm mixing Bondo. I try to do this outside because the smell is really, really strong. So, yeah, safety always comes first. And then, so, shoot me back over here. Alright, so when you guys are getting started on a frame, what do you guys need? You guys need sheet metal, of course. So what I use is steel, of course. You guys should get to know your thicknesses. It's also called gauging. Your gauges of steel is the thicknesses of the metal. So what I use preferably is between 18 and 20 gauge steel. For the tanks, I could use something thin, like a 20 to 22 gauge, which is really thin metal. Kind of what I got here. It's like really super thin. It's maybe like about a 1/16 of an inch thick. And this I'll use on the tank if I want to do custom designs on the fender, something that flexes. If I want to make some really cool designs to put in the middle of the frame, I use something thicker, like between 16 and 18 gauge, which is a little thicker, so it doesn't flex as much. And you can buy these steel. I go to the company in here in town called Van Bever Steel Company. So they supply me with all my steel. And I made all the bike stands in my shop too. I'm using an old stand from a fan. And then I just put a piece of pipe hooked up to the bottom of the concrete. And then I got a vise at Harbor Freight too, and I just weld it all on there, and that holds the bike frame quite perfectly. So, yeah.